A single boot, frost-covered and weathered by the unforgiving elements, rests silently in the pristine, deep snow. Inside, a human foot, tragically frozen solid, tells a chilling story of exposure and a desperate struggle against the biting cold. The scene evokes an immediate sense of profound desolation and a tragic end. This is the harrowing tale of the Yuba County Five friends, all grappling with intellectual disabilities, vanished without a trace into the heart of an unforgiving blizzard. What followed their disappearance was a series of discoveries so bizarre, so profoundly tragic, that it has continued to haunt investigators and armchair detectives for decades. We are about to unravel the complex layers of this chilling and perplexing mystery. On the fateful night of February 24, 1978, 5 young men, Gary Mathias, Jack Hewitt, Bill Sterling, Jack Madruga, and Ted Weiher, were last observed leaving a college basketball game in Chico, California. Their destination was their homes in Yuba City, a journey that, under normal circumstances, should have been a straightforward and pleasant drive of approximately 1 hour. Little did anyone know, this routine trip would become a descent into a nightmare. All 5 individuals lived with mild to moderate intellectual disabilities, yet they were largely capable of independent living, albeit with some supportive guidance from their families. They shared a strong bond of friendship, frequently traveling and spending time together. Their families were intimately familiar with their routines and habits, making their sudden disappearance all the more alarming and out of character. Their vehicle, a distinctive 1969 Mercury Montego, was later discovered abandoned on a remote snow-choked mountain road deep within the vast Plumas National Forest. This location was not merely off their intended route, it was many miles out of their way, high in the treacherous and unforgiving Sierra Nevada mountains, a place they had no reason to be. The car itself was stuck in a snowdrift, but upon inspection, it was found to be in perfectly working order. The gas tank registered as nearly full, offering ample fuel for warmth. Inside, investigators discovered snacks and even a few dollars in loose change, implying no immediate financial distress. The baffling question persists: why would they willingly abandon a perfectly functional vehicle, their only real hope of shelter and survival? The men were last observed wearing clothing entirely unsuitable for the extreme blizzard conditions that violently swept through the area that very night. As the sun set, the temperature plummeted dramatically, and heavy, relentless snow began to fall, creating a deadly, whiteout environment that would have tested even the most seasoned mountaineer. A massive and extensive search operation was immediately launched, but the severe and unyielding weather conditions relentlessly hampered all efforts. Days slowly bled into agonizing weeks, which then stretched into disheartening months, yet no trace of the missing men could be found. Their families agonized in a torturous limbo, consumed by dread and fearing the very worst possible outcome. Then, in early June, as the relentless grip of winter finally began to loosen and the deep snow started its slow, melancholic melt, the first grim discoveries were tragically made. 4 of the 5 men were eventually located, their remains scattered across the vast, unforgiving mountainous terrain, in conditions that utterly defied all rational logic and comprehension. Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were the first to be tragically found, their bodies discovered relatively close to a secluded Forest Service trailer. Their remains were partially decomposed, a testament to the time past. A startling and perplexing detail emerged during the investigation. Jack Madruga's car keys were found lying inexplicably near his body, adding another layer of mystery to their journey. This discovery of the car keys was incredibly significant. If they possessed the means to restart their vehicle, they could have easily returned to the warmth, shelter, and relative safety of their car. Yet they did not. Instead, they inexplicably chose to venture deeper into the unforgiving wilderness, a decision that has confounded experts for decades and remains a central enigma. Ted Weiher's body was discovered next, tragically located inside a small, exceptionally remote Forest Service trailer. What was found both with him and in the surrounding environment of the trailer was truly disturbing, raising far more questions than it offered answers, deepening the already profound mystery of their fate and final moments. Weiher was found tragically lying in a bed covered by sheets, suggesting he had sought rest. He had suffered an extreme amount of weight loss, indicative of severe starvation. But here lies the most crucial and baffling part of the discovery. There were ample, untouched supplies of food meticulously stored inside the very same trailer, enough to sustain them for weeks. 8 large cans of food, enough to sustain 5 grown men for several weeks, were found neatly and conspicuously stacked. Yet, only 3 of these cans had been opened and partially rapidly consumed. Why did they not consume more of the readily available sustenance? This inexplicable oversight continues to be one of the most haunting and puzzling aspects of the entire tragedy. Whyher's feet were found to be severely frostbitten, a testament to the brutal cold he endured. Furthermore, he was tragically missing several teeth. Investigators speculated he might have pulled them out himself, driven by unimaginable pain, or in a desperate and futile attempt to consume something hard, a horrifying indicator of his final, agonizing hours. A watch, positively identified as belonging to Ted Whyher, was also found inside the trailer. However, it was not on his wrist where one would expect to find it. Instead, it was conspicuously left on a table, a small but significant detail that hinted at a deliberate action, a conscious choice, or perhaps a desperate and final gesture in his last moments. Nearby, a few arduous miles from the trailer, the tragically scattered remains of Gary Mathias were eventually discovered. His skull and a few fragmented bones were all that remained, having been dispersed by scavenging animals. Adding another layer to the enigma, he was found to be missing one of his boots, a detail that echoes the initial scene of the single boot in the snow. The most utterly baffling aspect of this tragic discovery was the condition of the trailer itself. It was equipped with a fully functional propane tank, offering a source of heat, and a supply of matches was readily available. They possessed all the necessary components to start a life-saving fire, cook food, and potentially survive the brutal storm. Yet they did not. But there was no evidence of a fire ever being started. No discernible attempt was made to generate warmth. It was as if a crucial, fundamental piece of logic and survival instinct was entirely missing from their actions, a collective breakdown in reasoning that defied all basic human impulses for self-preservation in the face of such extreme danger and cold. The fifth man, Jack Hewitt, was tragically never found, his fate remaining an enduring mystery to this day. His unresolved disappearance adds yet another profound layer of grief and uncertainty to an already heartbreaking and deeply perplexing case. What truly happened to Jack, and why was he the only one whose remains were never recovered? One compelling theory suggests that the men may have picked up a hitchhiker that night. This unknown individual, perhaps disoriented by the storm, or more chillingly, possessing malicious intent, could have deliberately led them far off their intended route and deep into the remote, treacherous wilderness, initiating their tragic downfall. Another prominent theory revolves around Gary Mathias. He had a documented history of mental health issues, having been honorably discharged from the Army years prior due to a severe psychotic episode. Could his mental state have deteriorated during the crisis, allowing him to tragically influence the group's fatal decisions? Some speculate that Mathias, in a delusional or confused state, might have convinced the others to abandon the relative safety of their car and embark on a perilous trek to seek refuge deeper in the mountains. His friends, accustomed to following his lead in various situations, may have tragically complied, trusting his judgment even as it faltered. However, this theory struggles to explain several critical inconsistencies, such as the untouched food supplies within the trailer, or the car keys found inexplicably near Madruga's body. If Mathias was truly in control, exercising a coherent, albeit misguided, leadership, why would he so tragically ignore such basic and vital survival needs? A chilling and darker possibility involves a forced abduction. Perhaps the men were forcibly removed from their car at gunpoint by an unknown assailant, and this individual then led them to the remote trailer, only to abandon them there to their grim fate, disappearing into the blizzard, leaving them utterly helpless and alone. This abduction scenario might explain their abandonment of a perfectly working car, but it still fails to account for the subsequent inexplicable actions, or rather, the tragic lack thereof, once they were inside the trailer. Why didn't they attempt to escape, or utilize the abundant available resources to ensure their survival? Perhaps a devastating combination of factors was at play: profound disorientation induced by the raging blizzard, compounded by intense fear and the inherent unique vulnerabilities of the group. It could have been a collective, overwhelming panic attack, triggered and exacerbated by the extreme and life-threatening conditions they suddenly faced. My own theory leans towards a shared delusion, potentially triggered by Gary Mathias's prior mental health struggles, but catastrophically exacerbated by the onset of extreme hypothermia. Hypothermia is known to cause severe confusion, profound irrationality, and, paradoxically, a compulsive urge to undress, despite the freezing temperatures. The men, already inherently vulnerable due to their intellectual disabilities, may have tragically succumbed to the severe psychological and physiological effects of freezing temperatures far more rapidly and intensely than others. Their judgment, already challenged, would have been severely and fatally impaired, leading to catastrophic decisions. They might have been desperately searching for help, or perhaps, in their confused state, genuinely believed they were following directions to a safer, warmer place, only to be tragically led further and further into unimaginable peril. In such a profound state of disarray, the car keys would have become utterly irrelevant to their clouded minds. Inside the trailer, the clear sight of the food might simply not have registered as sustenance in their profoundly confused and hypothermic minds. They might have been too far gone, too consumed by the debilitating and disorienting effects of the extreme cold to act rationally or even to process the life-saving resources surrounding them. The baffling lack of a fire could be attributed to their utter inability to think clearly enough to start one, or a complete and tragic lack of awareness of the dire danger they were truly in, perhaps believing, in their deluded state, that they were somehow already safe and warm, despite the reality of the freezing conditions. Ted Whiter tragically pulling his own teeth out is a horrifying and visceral testament to the extreme physical and mental distress they endured in their final hours. It was a desperate, agonizing act, born from an unimaginable level of suffering and the utter breakdown of the human body and mind under such brutal conditions. The Yuba County 5 case remains a stark, chilling reminder of nature's profound indifference to human struggle and the terrifying fragility of the human mind when subjected to extreme duress. Their story is a deeply unsettling and tragic descent into the unknown, a mystery that continues to resonate with a haunting power. It serves as a profound and cautionary tale, highlighting the critical and undeniable importance of meticulous preparedness, sound judgment, and acute awareness, especially for those individuals who might be inherently more vulnerable to the overwhelming and deadly stressors of a harsh, unforgiving environment where every decision can mean life or death. The precise, agonizing sequence of events that unfolded, and the deeply personal internal struggles these 5 friends faced in their final moments, will likely never be fully and definitively known. The vast, silent mountains of the Sierra Nevada hold their secrets tightly, forever guarding the truth of that tragic night. Their families endured unimaginable and prolonged pain, left with only scattered fragments of a story that never quite made complete sense, a narrative riddled with contradictions and unanswered questions. The haunting memory of the Yuba County 5 serves as a somber and enduring echo in the annals of unsolved mysteries, a testament to enduring grief. The abandoned car, standing eerily in the snow, the untouched food, a symbol of missed salvation, the single missing boot, a testament to their desperate journey, the pulled teeth. Each individual detail is a haunting, perplexing piece of a vast, tragic puzzle that continues to defy complete and rational understanding, even decades later. What do you personally believe truly happened to the Yuba County 5? Was it the insidious work of a malevolent external force, a shared and tragic delusion brought on by the elements, or something even more profoundly tragic and complex, a perfect storm of circumstances? Let us know your well-reasoned theories and insights in the comments section below. Backhand index pointing down. If you find yourself consistently drawn to the unexplained, the unsettling, and the depths of human mystery, then make sure to subscribe to Mind Unlocked. Join our community for more deep dives into the perplexing and haunting mysteries that continue to intrigue and baffle our world, pushing the boundaries of what we understand.